Welcome you here this evening to our Shevat Seder and Shabbat worship service. We will begin by lighting the candles, and I will say a brief blessing for creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oseh ma'aseh bereshit. We praise you and bless you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who made our beautiful, beautiful world. Amen.
Amen.
I would like to invite Amy Beta to come forward and light the Sabbath candles. We are more than just hands and minds. We are people who need time to be in contact with nature, to walk in the woods, to see the snow on pine branches in winter, to sit in the shade of maple trees in summer. On Shabbat, we take time to feel God's presence in the world. We light candles in the hope that these lights will be lights of peace and lights of fullness in which we can identify our spiritual nature with the flame of these candles. Amen. Rabbi Arthur Waskow, the founder of the Shalom Center, wrote a beautiful introduction to this holiday. Deep winter, still winter, but the days are visibly longer. The sun is brighter. In the land of Israel, it is still raining, but the rains are beginning to slacken. Already they have filled the deepest recesses of the earth. Far underground, the roots of trees are beginning to suck at the earth's replenished breasts. Their branches are beginning to grope toward the gathering light. There's barely any change to see. There's barely any change to hear. But the turn of the year has come. The still and quiet months are over. The seed is quickening. And in our time, in our land, the bulbs, the tulips, the crocuses are beginning to awaken. Life is reasserting itself. In this hushed moment, we celebrate the new year of the trees, the reawakening of the tree of life. And a blessing, among which there will be many blessings tonight. Eternal our God, may it be your will that by virtue of our blessing and eating fruit tonight, we shall enjoy the heavenly hidden roots from which they draw divine flow of fruiting and blessing. Once again, abundantly fill them with your glorious flow, nourish them and ripen them for an entire year of blessing, good life, and peace for us, our families, and for all the world. Amen. Amen.
אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה.
A reading about trees. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, a Talmudic sage of the 1st century, said, "Anytime our wisdom exceeds our good deeds, to what are we compared? To a tree whose branches are numerous, but whose roots are few. Then the wind comes and uproots it and turns it upside down. But when our deeds exceed our wisdom, we are like a tree whose branches are few, but whose roots are numerous. Even if all the winds of the world were to come and blow against it, they could not budge it from its place." So what is this holiday all about? It is as if we turned our April 15th, our tax day, into a national ecological holiday. And that's because this is the demarcation between one fiscal year and the other. In the land of Israel in ancient times, the tax on trees, the tax on produce, had to have a stopping point. Everything that was produced up until this holiday, up until this date, the 15th day of the month of Shevat, was calculated in the previous tax year. Everything that will grow, nothing is ripening at this point. That's why it was chosen in the land of Israel. It's still raining, nothing has sprouted. Everything that will sprout will be in next year's tax year to maintain the Levites, to feed the poor. So it's very tied in not only with taxes, with charity, but with what is grown. So in 16th century Israel, in the town of Sfat, Rabbi Isaac Luria and his circle initiated a Shevat Seder, of which this is a latter-day prototype. And we celebrate the 4 worlds, which you can see on your handout. It says 4 levels of being from Kabbalistic thought. And the 4 worlds are Atzilut, nearness to God, which is the very the closest that God is to creation. So we are down 4 levels away from that. Going away from God is creation, then formation, then action, doing. So we inhabit the world of action. And that is what we will talk about first. And as we go through the Seder, we will ascend to union with God, symbolically, through eating of the fruits and through speaking about the mystical association between the fruits and the 4 worlds.
השקדיה פורחת בשמש בצורחת, ציפורים מראש חוטת, מברוסת בועטת, ט"ו בשבט הגיע, חג האילנות, ט"ו בשבט הגיע, חג האילנות. Again, השקדיה פורחת בשמש בצורחת, ציפורים מראש חוטת, מבשרות בועטת, ט"ו בשבט הגיע, חג האילנות, ט"ו בשבט הגיע, חג האילנות.
The affirmation For the world of Asiya, the world of action, it is perfect. And we will turn to our neighbor, and we will look into our neighbor's eyes and say, it is perfect.
It is perfect.
It is perfect. It is perfect. And not only that, not only is our world perfect, but this almond that we will eat, this almond is part of God. And as we eat this almond, we take God into our bodies. We take this part of God into our bodies meditatively and join our spirit and soul with the divine spirit. Amen.
Amen.
We are on page 20, pomegranates. Please read with me at the bottom of the page. In the Song of Songs we read, and the pomegranates were in flower. The rabbis comment, these are the children who are busy learning the Torah. They sit in rows like pomegranate seeds. And we will turn to page 22 for the blessing on eating fruit. Let's read in English. The first kind of fruit we taste has a shell which cannot be eaten. This shell protects the fruit inside, just as a baby is protected inside its mother's womb, or as a young child is protected by its parents. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'etz. We praise you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the tree. And Shehachianu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehachianu, V'hianu, V'hianu, Lasman hazeh. That's a big amen for us all being here together in such wonderful fellowship on this Shabbat. Tetim omdim. Everybody get up to dance.
Go out and tell our story, let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you, make them hear you. How justice was our battle and how justice was denied. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black or white. And I will not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you. Go out and tell our stories. Go out and tell our story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them hear you. When they hear you, I'll be near you. Again. Thank you.
And we will now say the Shema for Shabbat, the prayer of our oneness, the prayer of listening to the inner voice of God, which is in each one of us. We join together in our prayer of oneness, the prayer of oneness of all people, the prayer that tells us that we are all connected to God, we're all brothers and sisters. We all must listen to each other.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Hear, O Israel, the Eternal is our God, the Eternal is one. Blessed be God's glorious kingdom, whose sovereignty is forever and ever. The second world has an affirmation on your handout, on the 4 levels of being from Kabbalistic thought. The second affirmation is, I am loved. And we say it into each other's eyes as we recall the prayer of Ve'ahavta, the prayer that commands us to love. But we must love ourselves before we can love anyone else. And we must love others if we are to love ourselves. And we all look into each other's eyes and say, I am loved. I am loved. Again, I am loved. I am loved. We all rise for a brief Amidah for Shabbat. Please say your own silent prayers to the eternal oneness of all being, and then please be seated. Eternal God, as you are one, let us be united. Eternal God, as you are blessing, let us be a blessing. Eternal God, as you heal us, let us be healers. Eternal God, as you are rest, let us be at peace so that we can hear your voice. Eternal God, as you are peace, let us be creators of peace, now and always. Amen. And the carob has a very special place in Jewish life on page 28, because during the war with Rome, our people lived under siege and managed to survive by eating the fruit of the carob tree. And this has bearing on our Seder tonight, because this is Shabbat Shirah, the Shabbat of the Song of the Sea. And Fred Fostow has composed a new Mi Chamocha just for this night. Well, it's having its world premiere tonight. He composed it before, but I was not able to do it with him before this. Mi Chamocha is the song of the sea. Who is like you among the gods who are worshipped? Who is like you, mighty doer of wonders? God shall reign forever and ever. The world premiere of Fred's Mi Chamocha. One more time. That's what they always do at the Philharmonic. When there's a new composition, it gets 2 hearings. And please sing along with us. like to introduce Rabbi Robert Teixeira, who has a teaching for us.
Who's hungry? I'll be very brief. In addition to the date and the carob that Rabbi Jill spoke of, the Bible mentions 13 other fruit trees, including the apple. And the apple's a very significant fruit. Much has been said about the apple. It has long been associated with love and unity. In fact, according to one midrash, the scent of apples filled the Garden of Eden. And in the Song of Songs, the two lovers find themselves in an orchard, and they liken their love to the taste and to the fragrance of the apple. And on Shabbat, as we all know, the divine couple is reunited. This time in a heavenly apple orchard, according to the mystics. And each of us is invited to enter that orchard, to imitate. As above, so below. So on this holy night, may the apples that you ate, or the apples you will eat, remind each of you of your ability to love and to be loved by the divine and by one another. And may the fragrance of the apples, the fragrance of love, stay with you always. Blessings, blessings upon our board, our rabbi, and all of you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Robert. We turn to page 27. Our Song of Peace, Lo Yisagoy. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they practice war.
Lo yisagoy el goy herem, lo yilmedu milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy herem, lo yilmedu milchama.
Go to the affirmation for the third world. All is clear. And all is clear is that as we gain wisdom and knowledge of God's working in our souls, all does become clear. So we will turn to each other, look into each other's eyes, and say our affirmation. All is clear. All is clear. All is clear. Wonderful. We have carob chips. Those little things that look like chocolate chips are carob chips. I encourage all of you to have carob chips. Every other year that I've been here, I have had carob pods. But there are no carob pods this year because of the Shemitah. In the land of Israel, this is the 7th year, the year of release. And no carobs were shipped to the United States that I know of. At least they weren't shipped to the New York area. So we have no Israeli carob this year. We have our carob chips because there are still people in Israel who are observing the 7th year, the rest of the land. We have a rest day each Shabbat, and the land has a rest year each 7th year. Page 29. We are coming toward the end, the third cup. Light red wine, Israel's spring fruit. We are in Atzilut, the closest level to God. In this fourth world, beyond all others, we transcend every distinction. The environment is no longer something out there, but is rather something to which we belong as a unique yet equal partner. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, in the 19 Letters, writes, "One glorious chain of love, of giving and receiving, unites all living things. All things exist in continuous reciprocal activity, one for all for one. None has power or means for itself. Each receives only in order to give, and gives only in order to receive."